Welcome to the Empath School Podcast. I'm Jack, and together with my wife, Tiff, we are all about you, the empath. We are the creators of the #1 energy management system for you. We help you reclaim your power and thrive in your life and at work. Let's do this. Alrighty, welcome to episode 236. Today we're talking about the rising masculine and what men and women need to know.
Woohoo!
Oh, wow. You haven't done that in a good long time.
Oh, I forgot that I used to do it.
Usually you just give it a good chuckle.
Like that?
Oh my God, were you faking it?
Yes.
It sounded so real.
That's real.
Okay. Great.
I used to be an actress.
Well, you still are, I think.
So are you, babe. Totally.
Definitely an actor. Okay, so today's podcast is all about masculine energy, divine masculine, what it means, masculine rising. We're going to talk about this.
Okay, so we know that gender has nothing to do with this, but we're going to use he just for ease. But this can be any being that is in masculine energy, okay? And same with women. There are plenty of men that have feminine energy, but just for ease, we're just going to talk about he and she today, okay? Okay.
Very good clarification.
Well, it's like everything is so on such a spectrum, but when you're teaching something, it's kind of like you have to narrow it down a little so that you can get through the teaching points without all the confusion.
Yeah.
So
great.
Okay, so everyone's always talking about the divine feminine, but let's talk about the masculine and what the hell has been going on.
What the hell's been happening?
What's it like to be a masculine man?
Oh my God, that is way too big of an open-ended question.
No,
In
sir.
what way? About what?
Do you like to be a masculine man?
I love it.
Even though everyone comes after men.
Well, I come after myself all the time because I'm an asshole.
Babe.
Because I get really controlling. I can be so assy.
That's true.
I'm super kind too. I'm really loving.
Well, I just think I'm so glad I'm not a man because
well, let me tell you, I really do like being a man. I like being a man so much, I actually took steps to be a man. That's how much I like being a man.
Oh my God.
That even though I was born into a female body, I wanted to be a man. So I'm a man. Here I am.
So you don't regret your decision now that everyone's coming after the men?
No, never.
For being patriarchy and bastards?
That's why I just said I come after myself daily. Because I am really, it may sound like I'm joking when I say I can be an ass. Nope, not a joke.
That's true. You can be an ass. A really big one.
Great. Let's start there. Next.
Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is where has the masculine been? Because for a long, long time, we've been talking about the divine feminine rising, right? So for the last 10 to 20 years, we've seen a massive awakening within the feminine where she's done putting up with being treated less than or minimized. And people are like, where has the masculine been? Well, the feminine's been waking up into her intuition, into sovereignty, into power and sensuality, really claiming that for herself.
Well, I think we need to back up a little bit. Why did she have to wake up?
Well, because she was duped with the patriarchy shit.
Right.
To be controlled.
So the awakening that you're referring to is about really breaking past the constructs that have been holding the feminine down.
Yes.
And telling her who she is, how she can be, how she can show up, what she can't do, being paid less for the same amount of work. Little things like that.
Jesus.
Little things like that, telling her what she can do and not do with her body. Just a few things.
Yeah. So yes, she's been waking up and it's getting stronger. And boy, is it going to be huge as it moves forward. It's just such a big deal. But then where's the masculine been all this time? And what we have found is that it's their awakening, their rising has been delayed, lost. There's been a lot of resistance and avoiding doing it.
Huge avoidance. In the coaching room, when I'm coaching women that are married to men.
Yeah.
Oh boy. The women, many of the women married to men have had it. They no longer are putting up with status quo. They aren't putting up with having a spouse, a man that's a husband that is not willing to do their work, that is being defensive, that is being egoic, that won't actually have a conversation without being totally defensive and an ass.
Whew, that's rough.
And
it is rough.
Many of the women, they're fucking done. They've had it.
It really is coming to that. And so I feel like this needs to be talked about. So the delay, where's the masculine been? Delayed, lost, resisting, and avoiding. Why has that been happening? And the truth is because the masculine awakening doesn't look like the feminine's awakening.
This is why it's a great conversation today.
Yeah.
So today we're really talking about the awakening masculine.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's a critical.
Well, and here's what's wild
conversation.
is the awakening of the masculine is happening through destruction, loss, and forced surrender.
That's exactly what's happening. It's the women in the married to the man that says, I am ready to be done. I no longer can do this. Or should I say, no longer will do this. So either you start figuring yourself out or we need to live in separate places.
Ooh.
Real. It's real. It's happening.
So let's talk about us for a minute.
Oh, let's do. That's exciting.
Are you being sarcastic?
Yeah, because it's Mercury retrograde.
It's not Mercury retrograde yet.
Pre-shadow. To me, the pre-shadow is wilder than the main body.
Yeah, it is a lot of times, actually. So let's talk about me. Would you consider me a goddess?
No, not at all. Yes. Absolutely. Totally. Completely. Yes.
And the characteristic traits of the goddess that you live with are what? What are the things that are like, oh, you call me, what do you call me? Exacting.
Yeah, you're just so very, very clear about your feelings, your emotions. You're really solid at reading energy. You can feel when something's off. I learned that years ago when we first came into relationship, that there was no room to fuck around in the way of, if I'm not totally straightforward and clear about what the fuck's really going on inside of myself, she's going to call me out on it in a loving way, not in a hateful way, unless I'm being a dick. Then she's going to be hateful. And the goddess to me is super, super fiery, very bold, very awake, very clear, very centered within themselves of what they're here experiencing, pleasure driven in beautiful ways, create such a sense of beauty everywhere you go. The feminine energy is really wild. It's all over the place. So it's never just steady. It's like within one day, it could be the entire gamut of the emotional spectrum, from feeling like everything is so fucking amazing to life is over. There is I am done. This is too much. This is too much. And it's like, it's a little whiplashy because you just don't quite, no, you never know what to expect.
You really don't, do you, from me?
Never. Absolutely.
You never know how one day is going to be.
No, absolutely not. Never. It's quite an adventure. Truly.
So, you being in your masculine energy, and would you say that you have definitely had to rise in your masculine
100%.
power?
100%. I believe that is the true role of the goddess. The feminine energy is the divine awakener. She shows up and the masculine is like, oh my God, open me up because I am totally confused about who I really am. And through that feminine energy, through that draw, I like to say the goddess feminine energy is the flame and the men are the moths. It's like we can't look away, but it's going to burn us to death when we get and fly ourselves into the flame. And that's metaphorical for the burning down that actually
So
really
you
happens.
would say you've gone through your own loss, destruction, and forced surrender.
Like every cycle of Mercury retrograde is like a burning down to the ground and starting again. Legit. And because, I'm a mindset coach, I play in the world of limiting beliefs and clearing out your limiting beliefs and understanding that when I'm triggered, it's because I'm believing something that's bullshit shit about me. Well, there's only one person on the earth that triggers me to the level that feels like it's going to kill me, and that's Tiff. Legit.
Sounds so fun.
It is so fucking scary and hard and amazing. Like I say, you can't look away from the flame.
Why is it scary?
Bright.
What do you mean?
Because it's devastating every time you get annihilated into nothingness. And you're just sitting there in a fucking pile trying to figure out which way is up. And it requires everything I've got to stand in my power and to show up after I've been shown to myself, really seeing for myself all the bullshit that still lives inside my head.
Well, from how you describe it, it sounds like I come in and I'm just this mean.
No, that's
you know
not
what I mean?
what I'm saying at all. It could sound that way. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, I'm just saying for the listener.
Yeah, no.
When you say, what did you say that I like?
Annihilate me, destroy me.
Yeah, how does that happen? What does that really
ground.
look like?
Well, what that really looks like is Tiff would say something to me. Let's see if I can come up with an example. Oh, well, this is kind of where it used to be. She would say, "Can I ask you a question?" Just like that, in a soft little kind voice. "Can I ask you a question?" And the minute she would say it, I'd have a full body response, and it was not an orgasmic, pleasurable response. It was like flooded. I would feel like shit. What have I done now? I fucked up. Oh no, what's wrong? Yeah.
Oh,
no
my God.
Kidding. No kidding. And masculine energy being controlling by nature, right? Very linear.
Directional.
Know where you're going, very directional. So you're pretty solid about what you're choosing, where you're going, different things. And then feminine energy comes in. And just through that one question, and typically Tiff would just be wanting to get clarity about either something I said or did or didn't do, just to better understand. And I'd literally lose my shit.
Totally.
And losing my shit, the reason I would lose my shit is because of the fear that would come up in me that somehow I'm failing. And ultimately underneath that fear is that I would lose my connection to the goddess, right? So, and when I say the goddess, the feminine energy is the annihilating energy because it just won't stand in the discrepant energy. You cannot say one thing and mean another.
Yeah.
Especially with you. I mean, you're such an intuitive seer, like, hello. But I would say in general, feminine energy is very empathic, very intuitive, very open, very reading, really flowy. Like you're so pleasure driven and so soft and delicious. And it's like, I just want to touch you because you're so like, I've got to touch that hot burning fire because it's so beautiful. And it's incredible. It really is why it works, why relationship, as a man being drawn to a woman, I just honestly, Tiff, you're like the most delicious dessert ever. You're like the best deal closed. You're like the sun shining on the mountain peaks and the beauty that you see when you look. It's the feeling when you stand at the ocean and feel the vastness. That's what your energy feels like to me.
Unless I say, "Hey, can I ask you a question?"
And then I'm like, oh, shit, no. What's going on? I've gotten so much better.
Yeah, we don't really go through that anymore.
But boy, it was huge.
For years it was.
Years and years.
And it is, it really is a destruction, loss, and forced surrender. And it's not really destruction, loss, and forced surrender.
No, but those are the words that match what happens. I mean, really think about it. So, if you are a man or you're in a relationship with a man, do you find defensiveness as part of that equation? Do you find that masculine energy doesn't really want to be told what to do or what to think or what you think, or if you don't agree with something that he thinks, does he like it? Does he just welcome it with open arms?
Yeah,
Great.
but here's the deal is that I've never been one to try and get you to think the way I think.
Never.
And I've never been a controlling person.
Never.
And I've never tried to manipulate you into doing it my way.
Nope. And I've had plenty of people in my life that have.
Yeah. And so you were really conditioned to think that's what I would do, but I was always confused. And some women do this, okay? Some women are like, you need to do it this way and tell their masculine counterpart, what to do and how to do it, which I don't think ever bodes well just because nobody wants to be told.
No, I would agree.
And, but still there's this thing of defensiveness. And it's always been very confusing to me. Because if I'm doing something and someone brings it to my attention and I wasn't aware, I really do want to know so that I can take a look at it and see what to do to mend that, because I don't really want to be showing up as, a defensive person. So I come from a very different angle. So you and we had a lot of issues in the beginning.
Oh, they were huge. They really were. And I wasn't joking when I said retrograde was really
it was
some of our biggest conflicts.
It really was.
Come up. And, the truth from those conflicts, the thing that I can say about Tiff and I and our relationship is we have worked through every conflict.
Everyone.
There has never been one in our 18 years that we swept under the rug.
That's true.
That we just let go.
And why is that?
It's because of you.
Yeah. I can't.
It's because of,
I can't
because
do
of you.
the thing. I do not sweep under the rug because when that energy builds, it destroys my peace, and I will not do it. So it has to be dealt with no matter how uncomfortable it is. I have noticed there are a lot of people that can live that way. I just can't do it.
Well, they can until they end up getting divorced, or one of them is out fucking around and it's so much better, so they leave the relationship. It's like there's just such a level of lack of consciousness, and it pulls the things apart. You can't maintain connection if you're not willing to be conscious of what's going on.
Yeah.
It really just doesn't work. And I absolutely would say the number one reason my relationship to Tiffany is so incredible and so top shelf, and it's 100% because of Tiffany's absolute unwillingness to just go along to get along. Like you have never just pretended nothing is wrong.
No.
And held it all inside. Now,
oh, no.
You've always been very kind. Like, honestly, every single time you've brought something to my attention that's not working for you, or something that you can see that's really out of alignment, you've been so kind. And every single time I would lose my shit.
Yeah. Which turned it into a bigger problem.
Then we can't even deal with the problem at hand.
We're dealing
because
with
now the new problem is me being a defensive prick.
That's true.
And then you can't even work through. So what we would have to do is, like, I'd lose my shit. I'd get all defensive. I'd like move around the house really quick because that's what I do. and then in my fast movement around the house, and I go do the dishes, like with a lot of gusto, I would begin to start processing and being able to go back into the whole scenario. And what I always had to do is get super real with myself and clear about what's happening. And then I would go to Tiff and say, okay, like we'd talk. So this is then what would happen. So I'd get defensive. She'd just try to have a conversation. I'd get totally defensive. Then when I get defensive, she'd get pissed as fuck. And then once she's really angry, then I'm like all moving around really fast, doing my thing. And then as I'm moving around really fast, I'm starting to get clear with myself and just ask myself, what's really going on here? Like, is what she's saying, is there any part of that could be true? What's happening for me? How am I feeling about it? And then I start getting clarity for myself. Then I would go back to Tiff. We'd start having the conversation. Things would be pretty good. I'd probably get a little defensive again. Then Tiff would get really calm. We'd start to work it out. Then almost every time I'd say something, and then you'd get pissed again. Like your anger would rise up again.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the time I would meet it and get really gross again. And then we would move through that, but not usually separate again in the way of me go to a different part of the house. And we would find our way back to center, which typically included me recognizing that the way I was showing up was out of alignment to my true intention.
Well, and if we're going to be totally honest, like these come apart could have been mended very quickly.
Oh my God.
Literally in 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
It would take hours and sometimes a whole day. And over a span of, I don't know, 12 years of doing this, because we've been together for 18, it's been a lot better. My nervous system went haywire because it would take me forever to recover nervous system wise. And then something else would happen and it would just keep building and building until I was like, something has to change or I can't be here. Because there's just I can't continue to do this because it's really causing problems for my nervous system. And this is something that women have to deal with a lot. They have a sensitive nervous system. So when they're constantly having to fight for their sovereignty, fight for their peace, or fight for their joy, it takes a toll on their health. And men operate differently. So, or masculine energy operates differently. So where you would recover really quick, I was always in a state of recovery for forever. And even before I met you, I was in a marriage where I was doing the same thing. And before that, I was in a relationship with my mother that was the same thing. So I had been constantly fighting for my sovereignty and my well-being. I'm not fighting for that anymore because now I claim and own that through my own choice. And there was some changes that had to be made, and you made those changes because you wanted to live with me.
Yeah, totally. And it's really going to come down to that. So what's the next point?
The next point is, while women are rising in their goddess energy, men are facing collapse financially, emotionally, with identity and ego death.
Yeah, because I believe all those false constructs, all the construct that is external to ourselves as masculine energy, we get connected. Our value is in our bank account. Our value is in the deals we close. Our value is in this, that, and the other thing. But as long as we have that external value proposition for ourselves, that's the collapsing. So either you can do the work voluntarily, or you can allow the universe to whack you upside the head a couple times or 20 with a 2x4.
Yeah, seriously.
And part of what I would say about relationship for masculine energy with feminine is there's no bigger work that you will ever do that will bring you more fully into your confidence, your power as a masculine energy than being in a relationship with a feminine energy that you're madly in love with.
Mm-hmm.
It is so clarifying and so expanding. And it's through the frustration and the anger. And every time you feel your ego rearing up and you feel yourself getting defensive and trying to prove something, you are out of alignment.
Totally.
Period.
And what's been happening to masculine energy is it's had to be stripped down before it could rebuild. And that's what's happening now. So masculine is awakening through pain and not desire. So let's just go in a little bit deeper. Feminine awakening often happens through pleasure, movement, spiritual expansion. That's typically how we awaken. Masculine awakening, like we said, is through like failure, loss, isolation, and hitting rock bottom. That's what happens. Have you noticed?
Yes, that's why we're having this podcast, so men don't have to hit rock bottom. If you will wake the fuck up and start realizing that the way that you're behaving, when you feel defensive, it is the perfect indicator that you are in the wrong. Legit, you're in the wrong, and damn well better figure out what's going on in your head, why you're trying to prove that you're not a failure or trying to prove that you have worth or value so that you can really stand in your true power. And I would say to every man that really loves feminine energy, make sure you're in a relationship, because that will be your fast track to living at an elevated level of consciousness and of power.
Well, and I think right now men are also realizing that the old paradigm of masculinity is dead. It's not working anymore. And women are getting tired. They're done.
They're done.
And so what's happening is there's groups of women now that are like, yeah, we don't want to have anything to do with men. We don't need men.
No, they don't. Women don't need men.
Well, for balance in energy and spirituality, men are just as important as women, but they are behind.
Well, and I think the big mistake is that men truly believe, not all, and this is a generalization, many men believe that women need them. Women don't need
in ways that they don't.
In ways that they don't.
Yeah.
Sure, to have balance and whatnot, but it's not a balancing experience for a feminine energy, a woman that with a man that's being a prick 24/7, or that everything turns into a fight. And that's old. This is what
it is. It's the masculine. This part of masculinity is really dead, and they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do to step into a new one. And many men are feeling like this directionless feeling, broken, angry, a sense that there's a shift, but they don't even have the tools to navigate it. So we're going to talk about now what they can do, what they need to know about their own awakening.
Okay. Let's talk about it. I didn't know I was going to be doing so much talking on this podcast.
Well, you are the masculine, and we've worked through a lot of things. The one thing about you have always been willing to see your own crap and take care of it. And I've always been willing to do the same thing. And we had to navigate for a lot of years on how to make that run smoother so that I wasn't getting hit with this constant recovery that I had to do.
Yeah, and the recovery wasn't because of the conflict, the initial conflict. The recovery was because of me losing my shit and going all ape shit with my defensiveness.
Yeah.
And then derailing this, what could have been a very calm conversation to work through something, turns into this big, ugly mess. And you can't even talk about the issue that was originally coming up.
Right.
So
it just turned into something really muddy
terrible.
And gross.
It was awful.
And messy that took a long period of time that was very taxing on me. And now we don't really do that now. Like, that's done.
And it's not that I don't get triggered still. Because I do. I'm human and I get triggered. But now I can actually hold and understand and be conscious with my trigger when I'm having it and have control within myself to just open and expand and be in the discomfort of the trigger without acting like a fucking imbecile. Seriously.
I'm glad you got that part figured out for yourself.
Yeah, I do. I really do. I want to make the point clear. I fucking am so not perfect. I'm not even close to it. But I can now recognize when I'm seriously out of alignment and being an ass, I can get to the bottom of it pretty quick and stand in it and bring my clarity to Tiff, and then of course, honor her time and space that she needs so that she can process whatever's been coming up. And then we can work through it, and we do. And it's so much better.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
Yes, it is.
So much better.
Okay, so here's what men need to know. And then I'm going to share with you what women need to know about men as they're awakening, because it's important. Number one, your purpose is no longer about external success. It's about inner alignment.
100%.
Oh my
I feel
God.
like we could just stop there. And this, because the only reason men get defensive is because you're trying to prove that you have value. And the reason you're trying to prove you have worth, or that you didn't fail, or you didn't fuck up, is because your worth is tied to it.
Yep.
And that's when the feminine energy brings something to you. You know, I'm really struggling with the fact you say you're going to be home by 6:30 and you never show up by 6:30. And then what happens, classic masculine response is, don't you know how hard I'm working? I had to close that last deal. I had this to do and that to do. And all I do is work for this family. Blah, blah, fucking blah.
Yeah.
And all she was saying is, it's really frustrating to me that when you tell me you're going to do something, you don't do it.
Yep.
And it's debilitating to the feminine energy, because she is already in the very embodiment of movement and uncertainty and wildness and such a huge emotional movement that if she can't even know for sure that her partner is going to be home when he says he will, like, what the fuck does she have to stand on? Like, what? Oh my God. So yeah. And then the masculine fights because they're trying to prove why they do so much, and that she shouldn't have an issue with him being late.
Okay, the next one is, you don't have to fix yourself to be worthy. You have to claim yourself fully.
Yep. absolutely. You have all truth inside of you. Masculine energy is a divine expression, as is the feminine energy. There's nothing about you that you have to fix, but you sure as fuck have some flawed thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And your thoughts, the things you're thinking, your limiting beliefs, when you get triggered, you're believing bullshit. Otherwise, you wouldn't be triggered.
Yep.
So that does have to be looked at.
And the next one is your emotions are not weak. They are your initiation into a higher masculine embodiment. And I do think this begs to be discussed because most of our lives, men have been taught to pull up your bootstraps and don't have emotion. Like you shouldn't be feeling anything other than you just get up and do what you have to do because you've got what it takes. And we are now moving into a time where men are going to have to feel their emotions because it's just too big not to feel.
Well, yeah, or you're going to be alone if you don't.
Yep. The world is no longer rewarding unconscious masculine behavior. Women will not tolerate it, and life will be stripped away from you.
And you'll be alone.
Yep.
And if you don't want to be alone, you damn well better start learning how to feel your feelings and understand what they mean. You need to understand what a trigger is. You need to know that when you're triggered, it's not about the person that's saying the thing to you that's the problem. It's what you're believing about yourself in relation to it. Yeah, that's kind of deep and whatever, but that's where you're going to have to go. That's where you're going to have to go. And if, as we're having this conversation, you're like, I'm literally, as a man, totally overloaded and I don't know where to turn, then you fucking better reach out to me and let's have a conversation.
Totally true. Totally true.
Let me tell you. And the way you reach out to me, I'm going to tell you right now, send me a personal email, Jack, J-A-C-K at tiffandjack.com. I'll put a link down below, but that's how you can reach me. And you and I need to talk. Seriously, because you have so much good in you, but you will blow apart every good thing if you don't figure this shit out.
Truly. And the last thing that men need to know, brotherhood and guidance. Oh, here it is. Brotherhood and guidance are essential. Men can no longer rise alone.
No, they can't. And that's exactly why I'm right now in a feeling I will be rolling out a men's group, and it will be a revolving men's group. So I know we'll do one cycle and then we'll do another and another and another. And that's coming because I feel called to assist men to step into the truth of their own power and sovereignty without being fucking assholes, so that they can actually do it and enjoy an incredible life and work and feel your worth and your value independent of your bank account or this, that, or the other, and actually have an incredible relationship with a woman that you love.
Okay, so let's now talk about what women need to know about awakening men.
Let's do it.
Okay, so many men are waking up, but they are confused as hell. So just know they don't know what the fuck's going on. They don't know what they're doing. They were never taught this stuff. This was not something that was ever a conversation about men, okay? Number 2, they don't need judgment. They need reflection, not coddling, just time to reflect.
What does that mean to you? So what do you?
I am definitely not a coddler. I don't know if
Never have
I've ever been a person to coddle even our kids,
Never.
you know? But I'm fine with you taking time to reflect and figure things out for yourself. If you have a question for me of like, you know, how do you feel about this or whatever, that's fine. But I don't feel like it's my job to help you see what your issue is. Other than in our relationship, I will reflect back to you where I'm not aligned. But for me to say, this is what you need to do, that's never how I feel like is good for me.
Yeah. And as a man, one of the problems that men typically have is not being verbal, not being communicative. So I would say when women are giving men time to really process and kind of work through and reflect, as a man, I need to be very clear with Tiff, hey, I'm going to take a little bit of time. I'm really thinking on this. And we'll come back and we'll have a conversation in a bit.
Yeah.
And being clear about that. But a lot of times men just don't say anything.
Yep.
And that's what it's always been.
Well, and two, that they won't say anything and then they'll just forget about it or not deal with it at all.
Truly.
And then they're like, oh, look, there's that other lady that really thinks I'm amazing.
Yeah, for 2 days.
Yeah, until
she's saying the same thing to you, because that's exactly what will happen.
Exactly, every time.
Yeah.
Okay, and then women cannot heal or awaken men. The masculine has to do this for himself. Yeah. And I think women have tried for eons of time to do it. I know, because it's your
nature. Like,
yeah,
so loving and want to be kind and sweet and take care of business and take care of the man or her partner. And whew.
Yeah, and now women are like, nope.
It's different.
Bye-bye. See ya. Figure it out yourself.
Tired, really tired.
And another thing women need to know is about men and their awakening is a woman's energy can activate his remembrance. 100%. This is really important. If she stands fully in her truth, it will activate him remembering the truth of himself.
It's not can, it's will.
Yeah.
But she does have to stand into her sovereignty and her truth and set boundaries for herself and be very clear about what she will and won't participate with.
Mm-hmm.
And my God, a woman standing at that level, there's no man that can be around her that will not crack open and really find himself if he's willing to do the work.
Yeah. And if he isn't, he'll have to leave.
100%.
Because it will not work.
There's just no place there.
And a man awakening may push you away. Don't take it personally. He's grieving the loss of who he thought he was.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that? Go through that?
Grieving the loss of who I thought I was?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think the hardest part for me, the grieving part for me, is when I realize that, I guess, yes, it is exactly what that is. When I realize I'm an asshole. Like, sure, I have truth inside of me, and sure, I'm this and that. But I think I just held myself at such a high level of feeling like I was so fantastic in one way or another. Because, you know, as a masculine energy, you have to know what you want. You have to know where you're going. So you feel confident in a lot of ways. And then once you recognize that you literally missed the boat, like you were looking the wrong direction, you thought something was one way, and then it's brought to your attention that you are up in the night and it's not the way you thought it was, there is a grieving or a feeling of loss of like, God, I guess I'm really not all that. And then you have to find yourself back into your true essence or power,
right,
of the truth of who you really are, that you're not what you do or don't do. You are an individualized expression of the divine, and you fuck up. You make mistakes.
Totally.
You fall short.
Yep.
And there are many, many things that you will owe a sincere apology for. And don't expect for 2 seconds that just because you're apologizing, it makes it all better. It won't. It's time to build trust again. Trust is won and lost 1,000 times.
That's true.
Trust is on a sliding scale, and it takes time to build trust back up again. And you're going to want your feminine counterpart to just be like, okay with it all. Like, oh, just move on and everything's great. And she's like, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And the masculine's like, I can't believe you're not okay. And then it starts again. And then she's even worse.
Yeah. And then you know you're in trouble when she stops talking to you.
For sure.
That's when you know it's crossed the point of probably no return, that she just doesn't care enough anymore.
Yeah, truly.
Okay. So the last thing I'm going to go over is the 3 types of men in this transition. So the first one is the unawakened masculine, who is stuck in old paradigms, resistant, defensive, overly dominant, or completely disconnected. That's the unawakened. And then you have the awakening masculine, which knows something is shifting, but is lost, confused, and struggling to find his identity. This is where a lot of men are right now. And then the embodied masculine looks like this. He's integrated his power, his emotions, and his purpose. He is both strong and soft, structured yet free, deeply present yet unattached to control. So he's a balanced being. And I would say that's where you live at this point.
Yeah, I would definitely say I do at least 95% of the time.
Uh-huh.
There are times that I definitely fall out of that for sure. And that's okay. That's part of the journey. But yeah, I'm really glad to be walking where I am and to have the experience that I have. And our relationship is better than it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I'm really so much less defensive and causing stupid conflict that is unnecessary.
Totally. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that too.
So I think that was pretty good.
I know.
That was some good information.
I'm surprised by the verve and zest I feel as I'm having this conversation. And I know it's because it matters to me. And men are incredible. I mean, we're just talking about the masculine energy. It's incredible energy. There's a place for it. It's very balancing to feminine energy. And I think it's critical for men, masculine and dominant energy, to wake the fuck up and get a clue on what's really going on. And especially if you're in a relationship that's faltering right now and really struggling, this is the time to do something new. And this is the time to really dig in deep and figure out the truth of who you really, truly are. And do some work with your fears, your limiting beliefs, the things that trigger you, the things you're believing about yourself, right? That make you fight and want to fight with your partner. So anyhow, I think that was a great podcast, Tiff. Thanks for recording that with me today.
You're welcome, babe.
Do you feel like you might need a little nappy nap?
I think I might go get our granddaughter, Ember.
Oh, I was wondering if you were going to do that today.
I think so. I think I'll go right now.
Yeah. Oh, she'll love that. She'll love that. Okay, well then we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for participating with us. If we shared something here today that makes a difference for you, the thing you could do for us that would just light us up is share us with someone else, because that's how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being here. And go grab some dessert.
Because we all know that dessert should be eaten first, because life is meant to be
devoured today and every day.
Every day.
We're Tiff and Jack. We'll always be back.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being here with us today. It's been so delightful. If you would like more information, jump over to our website, www.empathschool.com. Can't wait to see you there.